I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Our Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is a yoga instructor and, of course, a mindful awareness guide. No other than Miss Veronique Ory. Welcome, Miss Veronique. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Yes, Daniel, thank you so much. I really love to bring people together for thought-provoking experiences through retreats and specialty offerings. And I also have a membership where people can join in to find the shine that resonates for each person. So basically, what that means is tapping into your own longevity, your own movement or stillness practices where you can be on this forever journey of growth.
Forever journey of growth. I like that, Miss Veronique. So today, let's talk about from hassle to healing, how yoga helped you breathe again after the hurricane Sandy. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world.
Thank
Hope,
you.
hoping for more and more empowering advocacy to come. So tell us what it's all about.
Oh, yes. So, really, I think a lot of us have been in this over celebratory era of busyness, whether you live in an urban environment or you are just in this modern culture of technology. There's this access where we could be in communication all the time. And so most of us are. And so when we're in that space of constantly doing, we could convince ourselves that we're being very productive, but it certainly does lead to burnout and overwhelm and feeling exhausted. And it isn't until that we have that opportunity to slow down that we do get to recognize, oh, wait, what are the practices, what are the thoughts, the people, the places that are in alignment with being able to feel most radiant and alive and creative and inspired throughout this journey.
Interesting indeed, Miss Veronique. And tell us, what does the inner game of reinvention entail, and who are the main opponents of this phase with this field or on this field?
Can you clarify that? What do you mean?
Yes, for the foundation of inner battle. What does the inner game or reinvention entail? Who are the main opponents in our own struggles in life?
Mm, that might be individual to each person. I think for most of us, we hold these dualities just being in the human experience of we want simplicity, but we also want more. We want to rest, but we also want to do all of the things. We might want to eat really clean and well, but we want to have the birthday cake and maybe a drink, you know? So we have these opposing forces that are in interplay all the time. And so, what's important to really recognize is how you're allowing each of these voices to have a hold and how you can be in that conversation within yourself so that you're actually in alignment with your highest self.
Beyond a physical distraction, what is the most profound emotional or psychological loss you experience in direct aftermath of Sandy?
Mm. I think it really rattled me because I was moving at such a high pace up until that point. And when the subways closed and the theaters closed down, that was really monumental. That almost never happens, as we know. There's not much that will shut New York down. So it really allows each person to really take stock on what is actually important, right? So you could have this list of to-do lists or a list of things on your to-do list. And then ultimately, when there's this stop in everything, you start to realize, oh wait, actually none of it matters. And in a certain way, that's really liberating. And in another way, it's really terrifying because it really holds this mirror up of what is it that I want to be attuning to actually.
Was there specific moments in the chaos of recovery you realize or re-realize your old ways of coping the hassle were completely inadequate to handle this new reality?
Hmm. Yes. So I think what happens in this anxiety space is we could be really in this almost marathon, like we're in stride and we might convince ourselves that we're thriving or we're doing well, but we're actually just in a mode. So I would liken this to if you have been in some kind of phase of trauma or you've been in this very high performance space, we can be in this almost like type A, get after it, really aggressive kind of behavior and think, okay, this is almost commendable. This is where I want to be. But then ultimately, as you take a step back and you start to just I'm sorry, are you hearing an echo on your end?
No.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
I think just continue, Miss, and I will just remove from the editing, Miss Veronique. My
Okay.
apologies.
That's okay.
It happens all the time.
Okay. Oh, good. Now it's gone. It was just a little distracting. Okay, thank you. So, in the stillness, I think what's so important to recognize is that you can start to really tap into where your what we call our parasympathetic nervous system is really fostered or bolstered. So that's your state of rest and digest. And then we start to realize that in the space of rest, we can actually regard that as being a different kind of productive.
Productive indeed. So, what was your relationship with yoga before the storm? And what specifically drew you to your mat for the first time after the disaster?
Hmm. I had gone to the Esalen Institute in Big Sur when I was in my early 20s. I assisted on a silent retreat. That was my first entry point into this general area. And then there was one time that I went to a yoga class when I was living in Los Angeles, and I thought I did pretty well. I actually felt a little bit proud that I made it through. And then the teacher came up to me afterwards and he said, oh, actually, the beginner class is at this other time. And I felt so embarrassed that I never went back. And so it wasn't until 10 years later, when I was living in New York and Hurricane Sandy came through, where my roommate at the time had heard that the local yoga studio had opened up and did I want to go? And he could have really said anything. because we were just so stir crazy in our apartment wanting to get out. And so we went, and the teacher was just so welcoming. It was a vinyasa style class for the first hour, and then there was 30 minutes afterwards where it was restorative. So really gentle. And I just remember thinking, I want to feel like this for the rest of my days. So I went to the woman at the front desk afterwards and I said, I want to sign up for a 30-day unlimited pass. And it really set this new trajectory of practicing every day and really wanting to come back to my breath.
And in situation you felt you were drowning, what did it feel like to consciously focus on a single intentional breath for the first time?
Yeah, it's wild. I really didn't think that I was consciously breathing until that point. And I think that's probably true for a lot of people, of feeling like there aren't a lot of conscious breaths throughout the day. And in fact, if we're in a space of anxiety or stress or overdoing, I mean, even just right now listening, like I wonder how many people are thinking, oh, okay, breathing, right. And then just taking a moment to like actually take a focused breath. We don't often do that. And I was joking with a friend recently, back in the day where smoking was very prevalent and people were out taking smoking breaks. Like, sure, there's the nicotine addiction, but I think what we could have really transitioned to beautifully would be to invite breathing breaks of people going out and just breathing together and commiserating about work or life or whatever. Maybe you have a pencil or, they actually have these kinds of necklaces that you wear where you breathe through like a little cylinder. And it's just great to have something tangible to focus and inhale and an exhale, and you really do feel so much more at peace when you focus that way.
Miss Veronique, how did yoga move beyond a physical exercise to become a tool for processing grief, fear, and uncertainty?
Well, I I really felt like it became therapeutic to me. So there's a lot to be said certainly for talk therapy. However, there's a lot to be said for staying locked into a story. So, the physical yoga practice with the emotional and the spiritual practice, when you're really tapped into why it is that you're moving and how you want to move through whatever is feeling like an obstacle or a struggle in your life, is we find somatic movement to actually let go of emotions that we're storing in the body. And so this is really instrumental in breaking through grief, trauma, things that just feel almost like our shadow emotions, feeling dark, or maybe, sorry, is there a way to cut out the echo?
Too much echo now. It's just too loud.
Hmm.
I think yes. I cannot remove now right now, Miss Veronique, unless we cut off our discussion for today. But anyway, before we go on to our interview, or we continue our interview, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season. Abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love letters in fourth season, and movie 101 review, music 101 in fourth season, and science 101 and sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Veronique, for my last question, and I want to apologize for the echo. If you could leave our audience with one lesson about finding breath and stillness in the midst of their own life storms, what would it be?
Yes, I invite everyone into the Shine membership. This is directly from my book, Shine on and Off the Mat. And it is an interactive book that brings storytelling with photographs. There's a three-part video series, and it's really meant to, there it is. All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, it really allows you to weave practices into your daily rhythm. So the practices are intentionally just 20 minutes long. There's guided meditation, vinyasa style, which is breath with movement. There's also a stretch style practice. And it really allows for you to integrate these practices, certainly at home, or you could take it to the park, to the beach. If you like to find a guided meditation on your walk with your dog or your kids, or there's also this integration where you can connect with people virtually. So much like this, where there's people in conversation, instead of sitting, you could also be stretching, or we could be in the conversation of the different themes within the book and learn more about one another, see what's happening in each other's lives. And so it's a really great way to be in the self inquiry. And it's also a really beautiful way to be in communication and community, and ultimately to be in that forever journey of growth.
Forever journey of growth. I like that, Miss Veronique. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your book, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yes, thank you. I would love if you could come to my website, yogawithveronique.com. You could learn about my retreats, as well as find the link to my book to join the membership. There's certainly a 7-day free trial there for you where you can join in and see what you think, and feel free to reach out with any questions.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Veronique Ory because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy to come. And for sure, more empowering books to come. So, Miss Veronique, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
More to come, people. See you soon.